Occupational English Test. Listening Test. This test has 3 parts. In each part, you'll hear a number of different extracts. At the start of each extract, you'll hear this sound. You'll have time to read the questions before you hear each extract, and you'll hear each extract once only. Complete your answers as you listen. At the end of the test, you'll have 2 minutes to check your answers. Part A. In this part of the test, you'll hear 2 different extracts. In each extract, a health professional is talking to a patient. For questions 1 to 24, complete the notes with information you hear. Now look at the notes for Extract 1. Extract 1. Questions 1 to 12. For questions 1 to 12, complete the notes with a word or short phrase. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes.
Hi Peter, how are you? My name's Rose and I'm looking after your 2 babies today. How are you?
Hi Rose, I'm very well, thanks.
So this must come as a bit of a shock to you, the birth of your babies 4 weeks early today.
Yes, we weren't prepared for it, I suppose. Sorry.
That's okay. I know it's quite overwhelming, isn't it, when you've come in today and this has all probably been a huge shock and a big surprise. Why don't you come and sit down next to your babies and I'll explain to you what we've done.
Okay.
Because your wife will be down in recovery probably for another hour or so. So let's look at your little girl first. Have you got a name for her yet?
Yeah, this is Olive.
Oh, that's lovely. Is that a family name or?
It is actually. It's my wife's grandmother's name.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So as you know, Olive is a little bit, well, you can see by looking at her, smaller than her brother. And I guess the doctors would have spoken to you prior to the birth about why the babies needed to be delivered this 4 weeks early. And so the concerns, I guess, we have for Olive are related to the fact that she is small and so she doesn't have a lot of reserve and that places her at risk of some potential problems, which is the reason she's up here in the nursery.
Okay.
The most obvious of those is that she doesn't have a lot of fat to keep herself warm and therefore that's why we have her in an incubator. And that basically creates a nice warm environment to keep her temperature stable because unlike her brother or even a term baby, she doesn't have a lot of what we call brown fat, which she can use to keep herself warm.
Okay. And how long do you think she'll be in the incubator?
Usually most babies will come out when they're around 1,800 grams to 2 kilos, but that will really depend on her. So what we'll be aiming to do is to, once she's stable, start her on some feeds. Initially we'll give her some fluids intravenously. And so once we can start to get some milk feeds into her and fatten her up, and once she's able to maintain her own temperature, she'll come out. So there's no set weight for that to happen. There's no set time for that to happen. It'll be a judgment call about how quickly she starts to maintain her own temperature and how quickly we can bring the incubator temperature down. So Peter, just take me back. I haven't had a chance to look through your wife's obstetric history. These were your first babies, is that right?
Yes, that's right. We found out quite early that we were having twins because we had an early dating scan about 5 weeks. So we've had plenty of time to sort of think about that and prepare. And the pregnancy, we were told that it was a high-risk pregnancy because we're having twins. But everything seems to have been normal. We've had regular doctor's appointments and scans.
So your 18-week scan, the babies were both growing normally, is that right?
Yes, that's right. And in fact, I think it was at that point, the scans were getting quite stressful, I think.
Yeah,
so
of course.
Because we thought things were quite normal, I think we missed a couple of scans after that.
Okay.
And so we had the 35-week scan, and everything seemed normal, and my wife felt healthy. But then we had the scan, and I think the sonographer was quite worried.
Right.
And so we went and saw the
Into
doctor
panic mode.
immediately.
Yeah.
Yes, a little bit. And so the Olive's placenta was a little bit sort of smaller and used up. It had less fluid in it, and I think they were just concerned, and so they thought we had to take the babies out immediately.
Yeah. So that would have been obviously quite alarming for you. Did your wife get antenatal steroids?
Yes, she did. So they arranged for us to have a cesarean on Friday to get Olive out, and the next day, Wednesday, we went back in, and Thursday, and my wife was given steroids, and I think the baby's hearts were monitored as well for quite a long time.
So she had 2 doses of steroids?
That's right.
Fantastic, yeah. And we can see that those have worked beautifully because Olive is not actually requiring any oxygen at all. Okay. We've just put a little light shining on Olive's foot there. That's called a pulse oximeter, and that's just measuring her oxygen saturation levels for us. And they're reading 99 at the moment. Yeah. She's having no problems with her breathing, and neither is her brother. And that would be one of our concerns at 35 weeks, that the lungs are still a little bit immature, and so some babies will struggle to breathe by themselves even at 35 weeks. But your babies are doing beautifully.
Well, that's good.
And that's the steroids that has helped.
Yeah.
I would say Olive will be unlikely to need oxygen, given how lovely she looks now.
Well, that's good.
But we will do a blood test to check her oxygen levels. We'll just do a little prick of blood from her heel and send that off. We can do that here on the ward, put it straight in the blood gas machine and check that she's doing okay.
Okay.
Extract 2, questions 13 to 24. For questions 13 to 24, complete the notes with a word or short phrase. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes.
Okay, so when was the last time you saw an optometrist?
I would say about 6 months ago.
Okay, great. So did you get a new pair of glasses then?
No, I didn't.
Okay, and are you wearing anything at the moment?
Yes, I've got glasses which I got about a year ago.
Okay. And what do you normally wear those glasses for?
Reading.
Reading, okay.
I generally don't wear them, for distance.
Okay, great. So are you happy with how you see in a distance?
Yes, I don't have a problem there. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking, that it's getting a bit more difficult for reading.
Okay.
Especially small print. The phone book, for example, is really difficult for me.
Yeah, well, the phone book is difficult anyway, I think. But yeah, that can certainly be quite frustrating.
Yes.
So do you think the difficulty was there when you got your most recent glasses a year ago, or do you think it's gone downhill since then?
I think that my vision in my good eye is not as good as it was 12 months ago.
Okay. All right. So tell me about your eye history then.
Yes, well, it goes back quite a bit. Around about 06, I started to notice a slight waviness in lines that I was reading.
Okay. And that was in your right eye?
In my right eye.
Okay.
And the ophthalmologist said, you've got a problem with your right eye. You should see a specialist, a retinal specialist. Mm-hmm. So that was organised by about, I don't know, late 06, maybe into 07.
Okay.
The specialist did a scan and decided that, there was an accumulation of fluid in the front of the retina.
Okay.
And prescribed Lucentis injection. That was done monthly for, I think, about 2 years.
Okay.
Until I eventually changed over to the eye and ear, mainly because it was costing quite a bit.
So how often are you seeing the specialist at the eye and ear now?
Well, I used to see them initially about 3 monthly,
yes.
But now it's about 6 monthly.
Great, okay. So is there someone that you see there specifically, or are you just sort of going through the public clinic?
The public clinic, but in the retinal clinic that I attend, there are about 3 doctors, and I see one or other of those 3.
Okay, so you are getting that continuum of care.
Oh, yes.
Great.
Yes.
And are they fairly happy with how stable that right eye is at the moment?
Well, I think they are disappointed that it was not successful. I mean, it's... I think I've had something like 25 injections of Lucentis.
Yeah.
And to think that, I've lost central vision in the right eye, they're not too happy about that. But the last scan they did, there was no fluid there.
Great.
So I presume it's just a wait and watch now and see what.
Right. Yeah.
See what eventuates.
So are you aware of what the AMSLA chart does?
Yes. I've been using it for some years now.
Okay. So I'll just run through it just to make sure that you're doing it properly, because a lot of people do it every day and they don't realise they're not doing it properly, and as a result, there's no point. So it basically checks the very, very central visual field of both eyes. So it's really important that you cover one eye when you're doing it. The main thing when you're doing that AMSLA chart is not to really look for those little nitty-gritty things, but to gauge any significant change.
That is the end of Part A. Now look at Part B.